Hi, I'm Steve from Stronger Than Ever Videos, and this is episode 1 of 10 Questions With. Enjoy.
My name's Chris Crash. I play guitar and I'm currently playing with the Letdowns.ca and I'm from Hamilton. What got me into punk rock was probably listening to early guys like Frank Zappa and Jimi Hendrix, believe it or not, because they broke musical rules. And then I heard about this punk rock thing, was exposed to the UK punk rock scene, was my thing in the beginning. But then you go, there's the Dead Boys too. So their attitude, basically, it was attitude, the music, the anger, the aggression, the speed of it, and all those things were definitely something I was interested in and wanted to be a part of. So I've been doing it ever since. My main influences growing up were, again, guys like Jimi Hendrix and Frank Zappa, but more so Frank Zappa, because he was on the PMRC committee against Tipper Gore going with the censorship. Punk rock, to me, why I got into it is because I heard the Sex Pistols sing freely of, Jean was a girl from Birmingham and fuck this and all these punk rock early songs. I like that. That's the way I lived. That's the way I spoke. And because Zappa fought the censorship committee in the United States with a panel of unlikely suspects, but he was on that, and he spoke for being able to sing about what you want to express, no holds barred. And that's what I got into punk rock about, that kind of language, being able to express yourself, and then being able to play the way you wanted to. The first concert I attended, I remember going to see bands play in public school. There was a band up on the stage, and that was the first time I had ever seen a concert. And I was just mesmerized by there's those guys up on stage, and I go to school with one of them. And so that was the first show. The band, I couldn't tell you what their name was. It was in probably grade 8. So then I get into high school and I'm attending a lot of concerts, and I think I saw A Foot in Cold Water. Pretty sure I saw Flood, and then I saw Max Webster twice. Rush I had seen play a free afternoon show downstairs in the gymnasium for the whole school. Rush was, they showed up with the original drummer John Rutsey, because Rush is a great band for what they do. It was a free show and loud. They pulled out all their gear and set up just for an afternoon show to promote ticket sales. I didn't go to the concert, but Max Webster I did a lot in high school. I get out of high school, and the first, I think, even during high school, because the first real concert, tickets and everything I saw was at the CME. I saw Bachman Turner Overdrive. So that was my first concert. And then along comes punk rock, and that's my world for the rest of my life. And the first punk show I saw, this is a hard one for me to remember. It could have been the Demics. It could have been the Dead Boys. It could have been 999 and the Dickies. And then shows were on after that. You know, I would go to every time a punk band came to town. Concerts were big venues to me, not bar shows, although that's what I preferred, was bar shows for punk bands. But Cox Bar, you know, they're in a big auditorium. The Toy Dolls, they were in a big auditorium, a concert venue. But those guys, Toy Dolls and Cox Bar weren't my first ones. It was either the Dead Boys, 999 and the Dickies, the Demics. It might have been one of those. It's hard to remember when you've seen as many punk shows as I have over the years, so I don't know. I can't nail that down. I can't. My favorite show, right off the top, I've got so many of them. Right off the top of my head, I would say would be the Dead Boys at Larry's Hideaway. The Plasmatics was another favorite in that day at the concert hall on Yonge Street. And recently, a small bar show has been one of my favorites as well, was the Cockney Rejects a couple years ago in Hamilton. That was awesome. To be able to sit here and Mickey and you know, Stinky, all of them sitting this close and us shooting the shit. It was great. It was awesome. Good show though. Great show. Crowd was awesome. The first band was a rock band in high school. I couldn't even, I don't know if we even had a name, but it was rock. I wasn't even exposed to punk rock yet. So I'm gonna go with punk bands because I played more of those than rock bands. The first punk band I got playing with, we were called The Plague. It was in the 70s, 78, and we did nothing but punk rock covers. And that lasted for a couple of years, I think. And then I was partying with the guys from Slander, because I knew a couple of them. And as it turns out, Sue, who brought down Ray, that drummed for Slander, Sue, Ray, Bear, they all came to check me out to be scouts for Slander's next guitar player, and I just happened to be playing with The Plague that night at Benji's in Burlington, which is now Solid Gold on Plains Road. And so they came to check me out and saw that I was a bit of a lunatic on stage, and they thought, well, yeah, he's going to fit perfectly. And we actually made the front page of the paper after that show, because a friend of ours who showed up to the gig knocked out half the power in Burlington. Whoops, too much alcohol. And I won't mention his name, but he got a charge. So The Plague was first. Moving into Slander, then I ended up in Slander very shortly after that. With Slander, I played for, I think we were 1980 to about 82. I think we lasted that long. We did get vinyl out. We were the first punk band to record in Grand Avenue Studios, which was interesting. Kind of a soft take on what we were. But myself, it was what it was. It was what it was. Got a record out. After Slander was done, I ended up in a band called The Crazed, and it was jamming in a basement with a bunch of guys I hung out with in Burlington in those days, and we were playing nothing but punk rock that we were into in those days in 1981, 82, 83. So that band, we did a few gigs. One was actually at a club on Kenilworth Avenue in Hamilton called Hotline. And there was phones on all the tables where you could call other people. The numbers were on the tables, and you'd call up a table and say, "Hey, baby," whatever you wanted to say. But there was a guy there, and he was causing problems. So I beat the shit out of him, and the manager came to me and said, "Thank you so much for doing that. We've been trying to get that guy out of here for a while." And I said, "Well, done deal. I guess you can up our pay now, right?" I don't know what happened. But anyway, that was with The Crazed. And we did a few Toronto shows, but we were just a cover band. We didn't write any original material. Though they probably wrote original material after I left the band. So after I had left the band, I kind of got out of the music scene for a number of years. And I came back to it in 1990 and I joined a band as a second guitar player called Mr. Stiff. And we did a lot of shows. And something happened at band practice where there was a little, yeah, fuck you, so I walked away from it and I left. And I apologized to a couple of them all, but the guy that I had an argument with, and anyway, left. And from The Crazed, or from Mr. Stiff, this is hard to keep straight, folks, sorry, for an old man's head. I ended up in Columbia Necktie right after Mr. Stiff. We got a CD done. That band gigged for a lot of years. We got a CD out. But what the hell happened with Necktie? Oh, we broke up on stage at the Corktown. And I won't go into any details, pointing fingers, but those who were in the band know where they lay. Anyway, so Columbia Necktie finished. I directly left Columbia Necktie and got playing in a band called the Hammer Boys with Hammer Mark was in it. Barney was in it, who played guitar in the Hammer Boys. He was Problem Children's original bass player. But Hammer Boys, we got a CD out, and I don't know what happened with that band. I think inner politics broke us up. So that band broke up. And I immediately started playing again with Barney in a project, just cover songs. That's all we wanted to do was cover songs. And that was called the Chico Mackey Punk Rock Experience. We did a few gigs. And again, I don't know, I don't know what happened with that, but the wheels fell off it somehow, and we just stopped it. So Hammer Mark contacts me sometime later and says, hey, do you want to play in a punk band with me, and you're going to come in and just play guitar and sing. That's all. You're not going to do any songwriting or anything like that. And I said, sure, that's fine, walking into something like that, I'd love to. And that was the Steeltown Spoilers with Glenn the Hamilton Kid, Hammer Mark, Scotty Vapid on drums, and myself. And Glenn was one of the owners of This Ain't Hollywood. God rest its soul. Greatest venue in Hamilton, used to be, in my opinion. But that was the Steeltown Spoilers. We still gigged for a lot of years and continued gigging. We only released one album, but after the Spoilers was really not doing anything, I got playing in something called Meh with Hammer Mark on bass and a different lineup with the rest of us. But Meh, for whatever reasons, again. Oh, Mark Davidson was in Meh from Hockey Teeth, from Brute Creation. I'd known Mark since he was 10 years old. Meh broke up again because of inner politics and things like that. That's all I'm going to say. When Meh was finished, I got playing in something else. I always got to play. I always got to play something. I always got to be fucking with things. Yeah. I got playing in a band called Coffin Cheater. And Tim from what's that Misfits song? They were a cover band. Edit Horror Biz. But Tim sounds and looked, he had the whole Danzig thing going on. And we had good fun, man. We wrote a lot, all original material. I don't think we did one cover song. We were heavily, it was a weird combination of music, but it was unusual for me. And we played a handful of shows and different lineup changes, but it was always me, Tim, and Eric from Flesh Rag and the Vapids. We continued to rehearse and write material and change drummers and guitar players. But that band lasted for a while. For whatever reason, it broke up. Then Glenn and I decided that he asked me, would you like to do this other project he had in mind? He wanted to do nothing but 80s old school Oi. Old, the original Oi kind of stuff. And I said I'd love to, and we were in, Glenn put together this thing called the Hamilton Defense Army with myself, Glenn the Hamilton Kid, and Simon from Adelita, and I think he plays in Barbed Wire Braces now. Killer drummer. Simon's the Canadian, Canadian. He's the Hamilton version of Chuck Biscuits. I told him that once, and he was like, "Oh wow, Crash, thank you." He deserves it. But anyway, we were in this thing called Hamilton Defense Army, HDA for short, and we didn't gig a lot, but we gigged enough to keep us fresh and active. After we just kind of stopped doing things with HDA for some reason. But whatever was left of meh became resentments. Now with Jamie Problem on vocals. Yes, that Jamie Problem. So I played with like 2 of the original Problem children in one form or another. But we recorded a bunch of stuff. We got some releases. We sold at shows, at gigs that we did here and there. And I had great fun with that band. We were kick-ass. Really enjoyed it. I think that was kind of, resentments was kind of wearing out on somebody. And, Hammer Mark was also in Resentments. So, from the Hammer Boys and from the Steel Town Spoilers. However, follow this one. I got playing in the Canadian reformation of the strike, the UK strike. And we recorded a single on Randale Records. We got to go, Randale flew us over to Germany for a show, and we played Sweden for a show. We were supposed to be on some big festival over in Sweden, but a few things fell through with the festival, and it didn't happen, and we ended up in the basement of a bar playing with another Swedish band. It was great. It was my first time out of the country, and it was on their dime, so, you know, that was great, because we were trying to get to Rebellion Festival, which the band eventually did. However, I wasn't able to travel. And I'm just going to say I wasn't able to. The strike, the wheels fell off the strike. We just stopped doing stuff for some reason. And I got playing with the Letdowns, and then we became the Letdowns.ca, I think, after I joined. But they were the Letdowns for 10 years before I joined them. Barney would always come to the door to say hi and visit. And I asked him one time, I says, I know your stuff, I know your material, I know what kind of songs you're writing. I hear you, they rehearse down here. I hear your stuff all the time. Would you take on another guitar player? So he says, let me talk to the rest of the band. They came back a couple weeks later and said, yeah, Crash, we'll take you on. And that was probably 4 years ago. And I've been with them ever since, and we're still trying to get material recorded. We've got a whole shit ton of stuff in the can that we're just waiting to record, and being able to get back together again and go out there and gig. Where are we? I don't know. Let's be hopeful, everybody, about kicking this pandemic the fuck out of our lives and move forward with music and punk rock. Cheers. That's the craziest thing that's ever happened at a show. It's usually been things I've done. I've been more self-absorbed in those days, I think. I mean, I've been sober for a long time now. But regardless of that, I was a fucking nut. And maybe that was part of the draw. Let's go and see what he's going to do tonight. We did a show, our first show with Columbia Necktie was at Sneaky D's. We were slotted in the opening spot, and somebody came down to talk to me about that out front of the club and said, you guys are on. And it's like, no, we're not. And I'm not going on first. I mean, I've been doing this long enough. Don't tell me I'm going on first. Our drummer's not even here yet. And he wasn't. But during our conversation, he showed up, and this person I was talking to didn't know he was our drummer. So I saw him, and I go, they're upstairs, man. And I shoo him upstairs, and I continue talking with this person. And I said, we gotta wait for our drummer. We can't go on first. So I think they went on first, and then Vic and I walk in, and we get set up, and I was pretty in fine form that night, and I used to jump around in the stage like a bit of a lunatic, and I'd smash beers over my own head, and or smash them on the stage or the kick drum or wherever, usually, and then I'd start eating the beer bottles, which was, and I never cut myself once doing that. However, there's broken glass all over the stage, and I'm up there thrashing around on stage, and I used to like head diving into the floor, and I happened to head dive into the floor, and there was broken glass, and I ended up peeling my arm open, which I took 11 stitches in by the time I got home. But I'm bleeding, and I didn't know I was cut that badly, and I'm bleeding pretty damn well. And somebody came up to me and handed me a towel. I think Random Killing was on that bill, and Hockey Teeth, Repeat Offender, and I can't remember if there was any other bands on the bill, but this person handed me up a rag and said, Crash, your arm's cut really bad. And I looked down at it, and I started to really pump my forearm to get the blood flowing properly, and I'm just smearing the blood all over my face and just, doing my thing up there with singing. And the blood continues, and we managed to get through the set, and I didn't bleed out. I don't know how I didn't. All the beer and the cut. I got taped up after the gig. I borrowed some Band-Aids from somebody, and I knew how to tape myself up from past occurrences, let's say, in my lunatic life in those days. So that was probably the craziest thing I had done, and then it was pretty much standard at every gig we played that I was going to break a beer over my head or do something lunatic. I enjoyed it, and the crowd enjoyed it, obviously. And I got lots of beers because of it. So that was probably the craziest thing that I've done personally at shows. Tell you the truth, I don't remember being at shows. It wasn't just usual kind of punk rock craziness going on in either the pit or on stage. Oh, one time, Sue and I went to the cathedral upstairs in Toronto, and we saw the assault go down where this guy was pushing a girl around, and a friend of the girls didn't take too kindly to it and looked after the guy as he should have been. I said to Sue, let's go outside, I want to have a smoke, so we did. And a couple minutes later, down the stairs this guy comes holding his forehead together. He was cut badly. And it was like, holy fuck, did you see the slice on that guy's head? So somebody took care of him inside the club. And I went, wow, somebody's outdone me. That was the craziest thing that I had seen at a show. But maybe there was lots more, I don't know. I can't remember. The thing I like most about gigging and being in a band, performing for the public, is getting the crowd response that's positive. People digging the songs, people up dancing, people enjoying the music as much as I do enjoy playing it, believe it or not. And you know, it's nothing but a win-win for me. If everything's working and my guitar's staying in tune, or they all do, but unless I bang them out. I think the thing I hate most is, hey man, can I borrow a chord? Hey man, can I borrow a, hey, can I use your amp? That I hate the most. Come to a fucking gig prepared. If you're gonna gig, have the fucking gear. Although I had no problem lending Vinny Stigma my wire. He wanted to borrow a wire off of me one night. We played with him when I was in the strike. Have you got a wire? And I go, what the fuck's a wire? What are you talking about? And he goes, you know, the wire. And I go, well, my cable? And he goes, yeah. And I go, here, I'll just leave it up here for you. Enjoy, have a good gig. And I walked. Probably my magic tricks, and I don't have to stand up or anything for these, but that's talent. Or this one. Talent. Talent. Do that. I do it with a sharp pencil, but lead gets in my eye. That's a song. That's a song. Lead gets in my eye, and not gun lead. That's it. There's my talent. Did you ask what is my favorite food? What the fuck kind of a question is that? I like to eat. Come on, I should be as big as a house. But I'm not. I don't know why. Chicken chimichanga from Vimex. Or, start hating me now, breakfast burrito from McDonald's. Favorites.